Our mission is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. Technology can shape growth. Help us be more agile. We can use technology to change, disrupt the landscape of the industries that we participate in. Building technology so that others can build technology and make things happen. Our success is not dependent on our products. It's dependent on the success that our customers, our partners have with our products. It's really not about our ambitions, but it's the application of our ambitions so that we can deliver digital transformation. I want you to envision what difference can you make to shape the world.
Good morning, partners. How you guys doing? Hey, welcome to the panel, Strategies from the Titans of Sales and Industry. So thanks everyone for joining today. We've got a great show that we are going to be putting on and some great partners in studio today. The neat thing about today's show here is that we actually have two different partners from two different parts of the industry coming in. So we're going to have some great perspectives when they come into, when we start asking the questions here. So, let's go ahead and get into introductions. First and foremost, my name is Sherman Crancer. You can always contact me via email at scrancer@microsoft.com, and look forward to working with each and every one of you. Let me go ahead and pass it over to the co-host of the show, Jason Hinton. Jason?
Being a PDM in Illinois, I am a diehard basketball fan, so we are in just about the best time of the year for me. I am super excited about what's coming up, and hope everyone else is as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it is March Madness, right?
It's coming.
I do believe the Golden State Warriors will win again, and there will be no challenge by any other team.
Except Golden State plays pro basketball, and March Madness is college.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think the Golden State Warriors might beat the best college basketball team this year. You never know.
That's great. That's great. All right, so hey, let's get into the folks here in the studio. Jonathan from JDB. Jonathan, could you introduce yourself and kind of what you do and what your company specializes in?
Sure. Thanks, Sherman. JDB Consultants is a managed service provider based in Hollywood, California. We specialize primarily in Office 365 and Azure workloads, and moving our clients to the cloud.
All right.
That's what we do.
Thank you very much. And then also in studio, we have two gentlemen from ISSQUARED. Bala, can you help introduce yourself and kind of what you do for your organization?
Thanks a lot, Sherman, for bringing us over here, giving us an opportunity. And we are a startup, I should say, in Thousand Oaks, and our main focus is providing infrastructure and security services. We do have a product lineup that we are bringing up to our customers, and most of our customers are in the enterprise space, and we have a very small footprint in the small to mid-size segment.
Great. So you're in enterprise trying to break into SMB.
Yes, so it's just so happened that fortunately or unfortunately, whichever way you want to take it, we started off in the enterprise space, and then we are slowly trying to break into the small and the mid-size, and I can say it's been a challenge.
Yeah. Well, hey, enterprise, you started with some good clients right away, so that funds it. Suchin, please help us understand what you do for the company and your role.
Thank you, Sherman. Yeah, I'm the Chief Revenue Officer for ISSQUARED, and I work closely with Bala in kind of business development, growing the business and corporate development and strategy. And as Bala said, we've got a unique problem where we're actually trying to go from the enterprise market into a small and medium business. And there there are some pros and cons of that.
Yeah.
And but it's been an exciting time the last 12 months, and we're very excited about 2018 and 19, and with all the cloud services from Microsoft.
That's fantastic. So I think today, I mean, just the combination of both partners, we're going to be able to learn a lot, really, and I think learn from each other. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the agenda as we do it every single week. We're going to be getting into our top 10 growing partners. Then we're going to go into growth, simplify, optimize, repeat, profitability, and then partner back office. But actually, we're going to switch it up just a tiny bit. We are going to go straight into the partner back office with TNT. If we could just go ahead and roll tape on that, that'd be great.
Good morning, partners. TNT coming to you from the Great Northern Railroad Depot here in Fargo, North Dakota. We've got some great stuff we're going to cover today because we want to keep you partners on track. So what are you going to cover today, Thomas?
So what we're going to cover today is a common area SKU update, new business SKUs coming out in this year, Azure resources for AWS pros, and a Microsoft Tech Summit. So we'll see you in 2. Hey partners, so the first thing on the agenda are Azure resources for AWS pros. So recently Microsoft had put together a user group, and in the user group there were some AWS developers. You know, there was just some great feedback, and what Microsoft came to the conclusion was that it's pretty hard for AWS pros to get started on Azure, right? So they put together this day zero, ground zero like material, like how can we get started in Azure? You know, I'm an AWS pro. So on this slide deck, you're going to see various trainings, and it's really hands-on training and courses. So you can kind of get your feet wet. Maybe you might have some architects, some engineers that, you know, they're good in AWS but want to grow and understand Azure. So here you go. Please make sure to click the links on this slide deck. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, or Jason, or Terry, or Sherman. On to the next slide. Alright, so next on the agenda is an announcement that was posted in Yammer, and it's on new business application SKUs. So Microsoft announced the launch of new business apps SKU for Office 365 E3 and E5 customers. This zero add-on SKU will be available on April 1st, 2018 in CSP from March 1st, 2018. The new business app SKU will be available to customers through EA, CSP, and direct channels. At launch, this new SKU will include Microsoft Bookings and over time additional Office 365 business apps will be backfilled into the SKU. More information on how to get started with this new SKU is available in the links attached to this deck. If you have any questions, once again, reach out to Terry, myself, Jason, or Sherman. We'll be happy to jump on a one-off call, or just shoot an email to us. You have our contact information. On to the next item.
Excellent information, Thomas. I'm going to be touching on the Microsoft Tech Summit. It's coming up here in a few weeks. It's a free technical learning event for IT professionals and developers. So if you are in the San Francisco area or are feeling like traveling that way, I highly encourage you to attend. Again, this is a free event, and if you do have any questions outside of what's provided in the links on this slide, definitely reach out to us and we'd be more than happy to offer any additional information needed. Thanks. Okay, the last item on our call today is updates to the Common Area Phone SKU. As previously announced, the new Common Area Phone SKU is live on EA, EAS, CSP, GCC, and EES price list. The SKU, however, was launched with incorrect PFOM and incorrect partner pricing. Therefore, we're going to be relaunching this on April 1st of this year to include the corrected PFOM and pricing information. There are some implications that I wanted to touch on quickly for you guys. One is if an order is placed between the 1st of March, will not be able to reserve additional seats of that same between the 1st
document that you're going to send over to them. Tell them you're going to actually send it over to them, but you want to talk through it. And the whole point of this is to engage in a conversation, to make sure that the understanding of the scenario was correct on your side. Ask them questions, make sure that your pricing is in line with what they're looking for. This is potentially your one opportunity to actually engage with them, because once you fire that thing off, you may never hear from them again, and you may never know why. So stop doing it. Stop just blindly emailing those quotes and proposals. Take the time, go through a screen sharing session with them, talk it over, get some feedback from them. You may find that you need to make some revisions to it. You may find that they have questions about your contract terms. A lot of stuff can be hashed out in that call that otherwise might never have been discovered. So stop just blindly emailing them. There we go.
All right.
Thanks, Sherman.
Thank you very much, Eric. I really do appreciate it. And I think, that's one of the things to do. So why don't we go ahead and get into growth right now, and we'll start asking the great questions from this team. All right, so we're back into growth, and we have everyone back in studio here. So basically, the very first question, and I'm going to have, I'm going to just throw this out there. We're going to try to do more of an informal thing. Is how has your industry expertise helped you grow your customer base and relationship with Microsoft? Let's throw that out there. Who wants to take that one first?
I'll go. That's
okay,
fine.
Jonathan.
So, we started off as a traditional on-prem solution provider, and when BPOS came out, we started moving to the cloud.
The BPOS, yeah.
BPOS, yeah. The predecessor to Office 365.
Okay.
For those who don't know that.
Uh-huh.
And we very quickly migrated our customers from using SBS on most of our smaller customers from SBS to Office 365.
Okay.
And downscaling, continuing for a while, continuing to use their SBS server as a file server, and then moving into SharePoint eventually. And pretty much now all of our customers, I don't think we have any Exchange customers left. They've all completely migrated off of Exchange to Office 365. Even our biggest customers that we consult for and that have full IT staffs, we've helped them deploy hybrid and move that completely to a cloud solution. We just finished our last customer a few months ago, getting them over to the cloud. So we've really transitioned from the traditional on-prem to completely in the cloud. Took us a number of years to do it.
Yeah. Okay.
And there were some challenges along the way, both technology. It's not SharePoint wasn't always ready to replace a file server. It's pretty close now, and you can do almost everything you can do with a file server in SharePoint now. There's still a few things that are getting ironed out, but we've got workarounds for everything at this point. So.
Okay.
So that's kind of the path we've taken, and then of course putting the stuff that you can't move to the cloud into Azure. The line of business apps, and customers that have to have QuickBooks or that have developed a custom Access database that there's so much coding in that it's just redeploying that is nearly impossible. We've used the combination of Azure and Office 365 to really get our clients almost completely in the cloud, and in a lot of cases there's no file servers at all in their environments.
Well, that's interesting. That is one good perspective. Bala, let me ask you, since you came from the enterprise space, right? And then you decided, hey, we're gonna go on our own, right? And we're gonna do that. And how did your industry expertise allow you to make that jump? Because that's probably a question. A lot of people want to get into enterprise, right? So, and Suchint, let me ask you this for both of you, really.
Yeah, I can start that. And thanks, Shaman, and I'll let Bala jump in also. So first of all, what I would say is there is no substitute for industry experience and credibility if you're really looking to make a really good sale and having stickiness with the customer. So a couple of verticals that I'm going to point out are life sciences and construction, which is where we've got a lot of I'm going to say industry focus, especially life sciences. A very deep industry, a lot of regulations, regulatory stuff that comes to play even in IT. And then you have the cloud migration that's been happening over the last 3 to 5 years, and kind of a lot of confusion. Customers really want help. So I think our background in just deep understanding of processes of how systems are deployed on-prem and then the implications of moving them to the cloud have helped us tremendously. So a lot of the business that we've got is two reasons. One is Microsoft has a tremendous enterprise base, tremendous credibility, but you factor in then our industry experience and our ability to give them kind of guidance, almost be strategic advisors. And I know that term is used a lot, strategic advisors, but that really comes to delivery. And I think our delivering smaller projects and then larger projects, sometimes in unrelated spaces, deep industry focus has been huge for us. So while we've been trying to constantly get a bigger footprint in the medium-sized businesses, what we found is that enterprise word of mouth as well as references have led to other enterprises. So we built a tremendous practice in life sciences and construction through that model. And Bala, if you want to add.
Yeah, and mainly from a Microsoft point of view, especially in as Sujit mentioned, the regulatory stuff, a lot of times the clients are skeptical of going into the cloud because what is the impact on the regulations? And just to tie in the services that Microsoft provides around their own certifications on HIPAA, PCI, and FedRAMP, and they actually have different SKUs that you can actually use around these regulations, basically helps alleviate those fears to the customers, and then that basically helps us get a foothold inside the customer, saying, hey, these guys know the industry and they can really help us move in the right direction.
Interesting. Jason, what are your thoughts?
So, not having been that far away from being a partner and trying to align with Microsoft, I think one of the biggest things that I'm seeing with my partners, and I'd like to get your partners' feedback on this, is where have you found trying to, any blockers in trying to demonstrate your industry expertise or differentiating yourself? Because I think that Microsoft is hungry for relationships that are going to drive the line of business or drive down that path of like vertical expertise, because you don't look just like every other O365 shop or managed service provider. What have you found have been some of the blockers in demonstrating that you have an industry expertise or that you're building one with Microsoft?
That's good. That's a really good question. Bala?
So nothing against Microsoft. I'm not bashing Sherman, you or Jason, and I'm hoping that this trend is changing. The main blocker that we have actually seen, we have actually worked in the enterprise space since the beginning, yep. But then we come from a small business background ourselves. So from a Microsoft point of view, we are small business, but then we transact with enterprise. And then the enterprise sales rep talking to a small business solution provider doesn't really marry very well. From a Microsoft point of view, they think we are too small, and we know the customer inside out, and that basically kind of doesn't gel sometimes, and the solutions basically get slower in terms of deployment. And you have to basically work with your rep to overcome those things. But I think if the same solution could be brought in by a larger partner, would move more smoothly with Microsoft enterprise reps. So I think that culture has kept quite a few solutions from moving forward in the enterprise space. And I'm hoping that would change with all the changes that Microsoft is doing.
We've kind of solved that problem by partnering with larger companies when we need to. So we've brought in some larger partners because we're also a small partner. So we've seen some of that same problem in trying to, but I think we've been pretty effective at forming relationships with bigger partners and bringing them in when we needed to fill the gaps. Sometimes not even technology or understanding gaps, but just, hey, are you big enough? Can you handle this? And being able to, guarantee there's going to be enough engineering capability online when needed. So that's kind of how we've handled that. We have a different blocker that's primarily been, with CSP and billing. Being small, we've had a lot of challenges.
That could be
dealing because we're small. Doing the billing has been challenging for us, and we feel like we're finally getting on top of that. I think but it's been an ongoing challenge for us.
I can add on to what Bala and Jonathan just said. To answer Jason's question a little more deeply, we've never really lost a deal, knock on wood, where we've been invited to the table. The only times we've had blockers is before the RFP or before a major deal, when we're not invited to the table. Is are you too small? Like what Jonathan's face. Are you big enough? And with relationships, you can get over that. And I think what Bala was referring to, I think some of the recent kind of changes at Microsoft and the renewed focus on partnerships has been amazing. So I think we're looking very positively in Q3, Q4 of 2017 and 18, 19. I think there's some tremendous opportunities with Microsoft in this space.
I appreciate that. I think that we should dig a little deeper back into what Bala you're talking about, because this is a pervasive thing, and I'd imagine, if the audience could do me a favor and actually just go ahead and put in the text window whether you're seeing some of the same, say just yes, I am, or no, we're not. That'll help us gauge it. But let's go back a little bit. Bala, let's talk a little bit more specifically, and we don't have to put out names, and we don't have to put out whom or whatever. But let's talk about what is the challenge that you went through. So let's get this out there.
So when you actually know that a lot of times small doesn't mean that you're not embedded into the customer, right?
Yeah.
We are small, but we do big projects for our customers, and we know them pretty deep. And when we know that a particular solution is the right solution for the customer and we want to bring it to the table, sometimes in the enterprise space, you have to actually follow certain paths or certain processes that are laid out. And you just don't want to work in vacuum because it just basically doesn't, it's not right for either the partner or for Microsoft or anybody else who is basically involved. You want to bring everybody to the table and make sure that everybody is aligned to what you are trying to propose, so that if it goes forward, the execution becomes that much easier. Now, what happens is when one person on that table is not aligned or is not ready to come to the table, it basically blocks you. Mm-hmm. So the solution that you are trying to pitch has to wait, and by that time, in the enterprises, a lot of times those decisions basically gets moved on, or that basically they move to a different solution, and you have basically lost that opportunity, which you might probably not get for the next 3 to 5 years, because once a solution is designed in enterprise, those are sticky. You just can't rip and replace those solutions. Most of the solutions, especially in the regulatory industry, once you put it in, these are regulated systems, and those have a lifespan of 5 to 10 years. So if you are going with a Microsoft solution, you could get locked out if you are not even able to show the solution to a competitor.
Because of
non-movement. Exactly.
Okay. Blocking from internal, maybe.
Yeah.
There doesn't seem to be a real seamless alignment.
Yeah, again, this is not just to add, this is not like, this is more constructive, right? I mean,
this is why we're doing this.
So it's not a bashing session, but I think to give very specific examples without naming names, what happens is that sometimes what we found in the enterprise space is our relationship is so strong that the client will tell Microsoft and sometimes other large software companies, hey, we really need you to work with these guys, right? And then it's okay. But in certain cases where we know we've got a very good shot, I think to be fair to the Microsoft reps, they're more comfortable going with a bigger name because they may be, you know what, I've got a bigger chance of making this sale if I go with a big consulting firm.
Good point.
So I understand where they're coming from, but I think there's 50% accountability on us to make sure the reps understand what we do. But I think we want them to come 50%. Again, this is more constructive.
I love it. And I think this is great because this is really going to help here. Now, Jason, what are your thoughts in how this all comes together and how we could possibly solve some of these issues?
Okay. No. So one of the things that I talked to this I didn't get, or picked up as a partner where they said, why do you need Microsoft, right? What do you hope to have by bringing them in right now? What are they going to do for you? Are they going to help you get funding? Are they going to help you cement your relationship with the customer? Or what are you hoping to do to align with Microsoft? And that was always a question I kept in the back of my mind. And so I've had this happen with some of my partners where they brought Microsoft in, and a well-meaning technical person said, yeah, I don't know your partner, to the customer, right? And it's like, it may be fine, but I don't know them. So how are we going to use Microsoft, and do we need to use Microsoft, right? So I would like to pose that back to especially Bala and sort of their experience of, if Microsoft sometimes can derail a deal and you have these type relationships, why even use them, right? Bring them in after the fact and tell them all the awesome things you've done, but don't even use them in the first place. So I'm curious about what you think about not aligning with Microsoft until you know that everything's set and done, so you don't miss speed to market or make things more challenging.
That's a very fair question.
Yeah, sure. So Jason, to answer your question, most of the times in the enterprise space, when you go with a solution, you're not going to a meeting with a customer for the first time. You have already vetted that, you know the gap, you have already explained to them, hey, this solution could actually satisfy this. And then what you're trying to do is now try to put together a POC. That's when you actually want probably Microsoft to be there so that Microsoft is aligned, because if it is on a Microsoft platform, you can't just basically create a solution in vacuum. In enterprises, they definitely want Microsoft to support that particular infrastructure or the solution post-deployment. And you don't want to come to Microsoft saying, hey, by the way, we went to the customer loves the solution, here's what we developed, throw the solution over the wall to Microsoft and say, hey, now you have to support it. And Microsoft saying, no, the solution was not designed to work this way, and probably there are going to be challenges from a scalability point of view, security point of view, whatever it might be, that Microsoft knows more than a partner, right? Because there might be some internal workings. The solution was basically developed to work in certain ways. And that basically is what I was saying, that it's not that a solution is being taken to the customer for the first time and we want Microsoft to walk with us. What we want is, we already have a solution, we have given certain demos or PowerPoints or made the customer understand that particular solution, and now the customer is interested in that solution and probably even validating that solution. That validation should probably come from Microsoft sitting at the table saying yes or no. And also, from our point of view, we want to run that solution by Microsoft to even see if it's supported or not. So it's more of, it's not just that we want Microsoft to come and sit with us on the table. We are talking about engaging with Microsoft, the technical teams, and the salespeople to basically come up with a plan of action on how should we basically take and present this to the customer. Because at the end of the day, it's a sale for us, but at the same time, it's a sale for Microsoft too. Because in the enterprises, the solution starts at $1 million plus deal, and I think those are pretty big deals to go with. And we are not talking about like some small numbers that you just basically brush it off.
And
Okay,
I can very quickly add to what Bala said, just to respond further to Jason. In enterprise, we're talking specifically enterprise here. So we're not talking cold calling and calling in Microsoft in a medium size or small size business end of the deal. But when you look at enterprise, the enterprise reps have very deep relationships. Some of the enterprise reps have been at these clients for 3 years, 7 years. And what we're looking for is, typically these are not happening in isolation. So these discussions are happening, the client's talking to Microsoft, they're talking to us, they're talking jointly. So what all we're saying here is, and again, this is more like moving forward, is a little more openness in terms of ability to partner. And to Jonathan's point, there is sometimes an option of partnering with a bigger partner, but that doesn't fit, at least in our case. Our strategy is to grow ourselves. And we can do complementary partnerships, but we will not partner simply because, hey, you're small, come under our wings. That's not in our model. So
No, yeah, I wasn't suggesting that you bring someone in just for but for the resources they can bring in. So, for example, I have a 20-year client that needed some SharePoint design. Well, we don't have a SharePoint developer, so I brought in a bigger partner that has on-staff SharePoint developers, and that's why I've had this client for 20 years, because when they need something, I find if I can't supply the expert resource they need, then I find them the expert resource. And so they come back to me every time because they know that I won't try and sell them something I can't do. And
so let me just, before we could spend like the next 2 hours on this
Sure.
sucker, right? Okay, but let's just some advice here. When we're talking about or working with enterprise, reps and enterprise deals, the right thing to do is to engage them early and often. However, engage them through your partner development manager. To say, hey, look, let's see, how do we broker this? Not everyone understands the one commercial partner initiative right now, but we are going to. It's moving. It's getting there. You have to remember that the enterprise reps are thinking, gosh, safety. They're thinking of their number. They may only have 3 or 4 accounts in totality, right? And they're thinking, wait a minute, I might lose visibility. I might lose control, even though they wouldn't. And you'd be like, no, we're definitely going to work with you. Relax. We're not going to try to steal anything. But that is, their thought. That's their psychological trigger that's causing anxiety, and that's what I think is we have to tackle. So the advice is early and often, but also come up with a compelling reason as to why you need to partner together. A lot of times, their thinking in their head is, oh, wait a minute, we're already halfway done through this, and this partner wants to come in and then take some of this licensing. I already have a relationship with an LSP. I don't want this. No. But they don't know that they don't have that compelling reason. And the compelling reason is, I'm already in there. I'm partner of record of 50,000 licenses, right? Yeah. Hey, you should be using me. If one of our other partners actually has a desk at this enormous company, he has a desk. Yet they didn't want to talk to him. You know, you're like, what the heck? He's got a desk. You want him in your meetings because he knows where the, you know, where everything's, you know, hidden, right? He knows who have the politics to be able to do that. So that's the second thing. And lastly, I like to say this. I think all cloud products should be on CSP. And I think that you should also be really open to saying, you know something, we should make sure that we have our on-prem licensing on an enterprise agreement because that comes with software assurance. There are a lot of benefits to it. But cloud, you know, why did we even design cloud? Cloud was designed to go up and down, right? Be able to scale up, scale down. Why would you buy, and then downward pressures of technology. The costs of Azure 3 years ago compared to today, much different, right? Well, so why would you lock in a price 3 years?
Yeah.
Right? Just why would you do it? I mean, it's just business sense. All right, so hey, let's move into our next thing: simplify, optimize, and repeat.
Yes, as long as I can see it. Nice.
All right, Jason.
Perfect, Sherman. So actually, the question just went away. Could you flip back to the Irvine group? Thank you. So we've talked about at length about marketing solutions and which is more important, sales or marketing, right? And it probably depends on your background and also what your role is. But I'd like to hear from your partners, you know, how are they leveraging and do they prioritize one over the other? So how are you leveraging sales and marketing as either the same group or different groups? And are you prioritizing certain motions one over the other? And I'll leave it up to whoever wants to answer first.
Sure, I'll jump on that one.
Right.
First of all, we're small enough that there really isn't separate staff to do sales and marketing. They're not. It's the same. It's done together. So we don't have a sales manager and a marketing manager. We have someone doing both. And a lot of times, a lot of that stuff just falls on me as the owner of the company, and I do a big chunk of that stuff. So which comes first? That's really hard to say in our environment because
the chicken or the egg.
Yeah, it's definitely a chicken or the
sales
egg
or the marketing
type thing. We have both so intertwined. It's both are so intertwined. It's hard to say which one we prioritize on. Obviously, you know, when it comes to, you know, marketing's a long-term strategy and sales is more of a short-term. You know, are you going to get this sale or that sale? What's in the pipeline? Whereas marketing is more long-term. What's on the web page? What content are you pushing out? What's the blog look like? You know, who are you going to advertise? We're going to spend your money with that. Those are all questions but they all get integrated together in our case. So would be our answer.
Okay. Well, you know, marketing. There's been a big change in buyer behavior. So I think it's going to start leaning towards marketing more than actual hiring salespeople. But let's ask Bala. What are your thoughts?
So we are definitely seeing that the marketing is actually becoming more important than sales, and Suchin can actually talk more because he runs that division, and we actually do spend quite a bit of our revenue in marketing and sales. We actually have made it a point that we spend about 15% of our revenue back into marketing and sales. We did initially, thought process was that we will go with salespeople, and then we figured out being small, nobody knows you. And when salespeople go knocking on the doors, they don't know who you are, so what are they going to buy you based on, right? So it's very critical to build that brand awareness, and that brand awareness doesn't come unless you spend enough time, resource, and money on marketing efforts.
Yeah.
Sujan.
Yeah, I can add on to that, and this is a really tough question. So from a purist point of view, you know, marketing and sales are completely separate, and marketing does the strategy, the pricing, the product offerings, and sales executes. But to Jonathan and Bala's point, given the size of the company, I think it really determines which way you go. With digital, I see personally the focus much more on marketing. It's much more cost effective to do digital campaigns as opposed to, let's say, inside sales campaigns, things like that. And what we found is a stage of the company that we are on right now, and we're still figuring this out, but what's working really well is more smaller, intimate events, very focused events, marketing, digital marketing. And we went down the route of trying to hire really experienced salespeople whom we thought, the common thinking is you get somebody who's worked in like one of the big 5 or big 10 software companies with a Rolodex, and hey, they can walk you into these big clients. But a company of our size, to attract that kind of sales talent is very challenging because those people are looking to make a lot of money. This is very tactical. So given where we are right now, I think right now marketing is playing a much bigger role. At some point, you need sales to scale. You cannot scale. You need people on the ground visiting customers. But I agree with Sherman. I think as we go into the next 2-3 years, marketing is playing a much bigger role. Digital is going to be, digital ads is going to be social media, and but you do need the sales force to scale. Ultimately, the velocity, the growth is going to come through sales. But where we are at a company right now, the focus is more marketing.
Great, thanks. Jason, I guess there's been some comments on online. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so Cohen and Bill, I couldn't agree more with your thoughts around marketing being the priority, but why, right? So I think the key with marketing is it still the lead generator? Is it still creating slicks and proposals and other types of sort of collateral, right? But one thing Cohen put in the chat window is talking about the engagement in social media, which I think is huge. And I always caution my partners, don't just put it out by your company, put it through your independent networks. That has a farther reach and has more credibility than just company A said this. And then I also like the prospects, ebooks, and really showing that thought leadership, right? So I think that's really what marketing, today's marketing is going to be like your partners are saying, it's the validation. I'm going to do something with you, but I'm going to research you and I want to see what your impression is. And I'm going to look at that website footprint and probably make a decision of whether I'm either going to keep working with you or call you back. And so I think what Cohen and Bill are saying, marketing as a thought leader and as shaping your brand is critical.
So, the great Mark Stewart from Neural Impact, we just actually did a training with. And if you see my series, the Microsoft Partner of Tomorrow, I suggest every one of you take a look at it. It's really just Mark Stewart stuff. And he talked about one specific thing that I thought was really interesting. And Jason, you just mentioned it about white papers, right? Is imagine just think of yourself, your behavior when you go to a website and there's something that seems like you really want to see it, and you're like, I click on it, and then what comes up? The paywall or the wall that says, hey, please give me your information first, right? How many times do you actually do that? I would suggest you probably do it maybe 10% of the time, because it's that important. You're like, okay, I want to give my, but most of the time you're like, God, no, I'm not going to give you my information. Or how about this? When you're shopping for a car, and I just noticed this, I always look on Craigslist, right? And you see the ads from the dealers. They show the car, right? But then it show the price, and that just irritates me. It's all get out. I automatically pass it. So Mark Stewart says, instead of doing the paywall per se up front, the gated content, is give first. Give a white paper first, but have that white paper have, maybe it's 10 pages of white paper and have 6 or 7. Let them get into it. Let them check it out first, because that's what you want. You want them to buy into who you are, right? And buy into your expertise. And then afterwards, give them a reason why they want to continue listening to you. So hopefully that was profound when I heard it. I hope it's profound when you're hearing it right now from me. Once again, credit is all due to the genius, Mark Stewart. So let's get into another question. Really, is what is the biggest mistake that you have made, and that you will never do again? And this starts with anything: company, sales, marketing. We'll give it to Jonathan first.
Okay, I think our biggest mistake clearly was growing a little. We grew a little too fast a few years ago. We expanded our staff, and we got a little top heavy on the sales and not having enough on the tech, and it caused some real problems for us, primarily financially. I think, we just couldn't afford, we just couldn't grow fast enough to afford the additional tech staff we needed to support the thing, and we had all this top-heavy marketing staff that kind of made the company a little unstable for a while. So we actually ended up scaling back and shrinking the company back down, and reducing staff for a while to kind of
shore up your defense.
Shore up that, because our biggest cost by far is our payroll. So getting the payroll getting too far ahead of the income became a severe problem for us, and so we've corrected that. We're now, I think I've got a better plan for moving us forward again on growing without the same mistake.
Same mistake.
Yeah.
Okay. That's I think good advice. Nobody wants to talk about their mistakes, so I'm sorry. So thanks for being upfront about it. Right?
That was a bump we hit, and we got past it. We're still standing after.
Yeah.
I was concerned for a while that we wouldn't be, but here we are. So
that's why we have this. We're doing these calls so that we can all help learn from each other. That's one of the main reasons. So Bala or Suchint,
we are perfect.
Never a mistake. We're growing by 600% a year, and everything is great.
We've made, I'll go first, but we've made not one big mistake, many big mistakes. So I think, frankly, at this stage of growth, if you're not making mistakes, you're doing something wrong. That's the only, because you only learn through your mistakes. So I think I'll let Bala add, but one of the big mistakes, the challenges that we find is that in customer acquisitions, you're so eager for growth and to acquire new customers at this stage. You really want to keep going to the next customer and saying, hey, I got 100 customers last year. This year I'm going to get to 300. But over the course of that, you start picking up customers where you got to use the 80-20 rule. And when we do an analysis, sometimes we find that, I hate to say it this way, but our lowest paying customers are our biggest time sink. So you got to look at, sometimes you got to have that ability to say that not only what am I getting from this customer, what is the opportunity cost that I'm taking away from other customers. And it's a very tough decision. And we made that mistake where we've got into one or two customers where I could have acquired 10 more customers, but I had sales and technical people spend like 6 months at absolutely loss making, and but the whole concept of get your foot in the door. So these are conflicting goals, right? So you want to get your foot in the door, but we made some mistakes there.
Okay.
I mean that's one of the biggest mistakes.
Yeah.
Possibly that you are walking into a trap, but you are lured to the substance that's inside.
Pandora's box.
Exactly.
In a small. It comes in a small package.
Yeah.
You think it'd be a big one, but it's not. It's a small little tiny package.
Yeah.
I think that there. I talked to one of our partners, a great partner of ours, actually, Peter Lindy from the Lindy Group. And what I really admire about his business, actually, is his ability to walk away from clients. And recently, we talked about some significantly large clients. I mean, name brand, wow type of clients, like anybody would. And you know something? It was just the comment of not a right fit for us. And being able to walk away from that, it takes a lot of willpower, and I absolutely applaud what he does for the group. All right, so let's get into our next idea here. Is we have talked at length about packaging, right? And you've heard me talk about it every time I talk to any one of you. It's like, where are your packages, right? Just what have you put together that's going to do that? What have been your reservations, and what conclusion have you come to? And I want to give this to Jonathan, because I think you've done a lot of hard work on the packaging.
Sure. Well, thanks, Sherman. We got into we've been in the MSP model for quite some time, and we found that in the beginning we just kind of structured a custom package for each client, and there was a lot of work involved in actually getting the client, and then managing that relationship became very difficult, and especially as the staff started to grow, people didn't know necessarily the relationships that each client had and how they were customized. So we created a series of packages, and we separated services from maintenance, and clients could pick from a service package that included a certain set of services, and they could pick from a maintenance package that would fit with the ROI model they needed, and that's how we kind of structure that. So now we have a clearly defined set of MSP services and MSP maintenance, and that still gives the client flexibility so they can choose, but it's also understandable for the staff in the company. They understand that there's, if they're on the bronze package, they get these features, and if they're on the gold package, they get those features.
Has it increased profitability?
It's decreased errors, which I would say yes, because it's time spent going back and saying oops, or even billing issues, which look bad to clients when you're billing them for something that they shouldn't have been billed for, or even worse, you're not billing them for stuff they should have been billed for. I mean, from our perspective, as obviously they don't mind, but and that I think that also let us, we're a ConnectWise shop, so it let us, defining these in a clear way, let us put those packages into ConnectWise, whereas when they were customized, it was really hard to manage. If one client has everything's covered, another client has everything except these systems are covered, that was impossible to do in a structured way, and so that's kind of how we dealt with how we packaged. Now we're working on verticalizing those same packages, essentially adding some vertical content into those packages and moving into some verticals. It's been more challenging than I thought it would be to do that, to take it from horizontal MSP packages into vertical MSP packages. But we're targeting some of the areas that we've been strong in. We're really excited that we're going to finally get nonprofit in CSP because we have a big nonprofit base. We have a lot of nonprofits, and while there's not a lot of revenue per seat in those, we have enough nonprofit seats that it adds up to a really significant number. And so finally getting those seats back from the advisor going away, at least from a profit point of view, not having any income in the thing. We're still servicing those clients and still working with them, but being able to bring that back in and build those clients through and these clients, most of these nonprofit clients have worked with us for years and years, and so they're when being able to build them directly and have a little more control is good for them too. So.
Well, I appreciate that. That's good insight. Bala, what are your thoughts?
In our industry so far, for us to package something and give it to the enterprises is a little bit more difficult, because most of the times, in our case, these are RFPs and RFIs, and the enterprise already knows what they're looking for, and then we are bidding for it. So it's a little bit more difficult, but where we are moving, where we want to break into the small to mid-size, we understand that packaging is one of the most important aspects of doing things. So we are actually working on creating some of those packages ourselves to bring it to market. So,
yeah, I agree with Bala, and I think just slightly, maybe not exactly packaging, but what we found in the enterprise, you rarely are trying to just sell software. It's always a solution, and there's professional services that go with it. There's consulting and strategy services that go with it. So, I agree with what Bala said. And enterprise is a little different, but I think the whole concept of just packaging and kind of making it easier for clients and more value add, totally agree with that. I mean, we've never made a sale just by the software for the sake of software. So,
great.
Yeah.
So let's pass it over to Jason in Chicago. He's got a couple questions for us. Jason.
So Sherman, whenever you introduce a good topic, they want to dig deeper, right? So Cohen asked, where can we find the next generation partner Sherman was referring to? So if you could tell him where to find it, that'd be great.
Tomorrow's series is actually located on a point drive that I have. And I sent out an email actually to each and every one of you. It was a partner update email that came out, I think, 2 days ago, right? I think it was 2 days ago.
2 days ago.
And on that, there's a link to the Microsoft Partner of Tomorrow series. I think it's in the 3rd section. There is 2 parts there. So what I did is created, there's probably 18 short 1-minute videos. Made them really simple. But it really comes from Mark Stewart. And I give him all the credit in the world. He's a genius. And we talk about some of those things, which is really about Buyer 2.0 and the idea of the psychology, behind different partners and different buying behaviors, and I think that's really good. Jason, what was the other, or was that the question that you had?
That was a question, and I think the one thing that I just wanted to comment on that your partners are talking about, and I think it really is, it's tricky to find the right blend of the packaging and the offering and who you're reaching by your messaging. But that is the process we're meant to go through, right? So that's why you have a PDM. That's why you have Sherman and myself. This is what we want to spend more time on with you. And just as much as we're trying to help and nurture those relationships with Microsoft on your behalf, we also want to help you go through this process. It's not easy, but it could be absolutely a game changer for your business. So, one of the things that I have experienced over the last week, and happens a lot of weeks, is there's a lot of go do this, go do that, what's wrong with support, help me with this, help me with that. And we want to do as much as we can with all of that. But as our boss said at the summit that we had recently, he said, if you're using your partner development manager as a gopher, as instead of a business partner to help you drive 10, 20% growth in your business and really change things, he's like, you're only getting a fraction of the benefit that you could have. So that's what we want to help you go through, is this process that, could be a game changer for your business.
Profound. Absolutely profound, Jason. I really do appreciate that. So, yeah, there's a couple things here that I wanted to kind of wrap up. Is this 9? I think where are we at? 9:57. We got 3 minutes. We missed a whole section because we were just talking so much about these other great things, and that's okay. But there's Inspire that's coming up. So I did mention in that email that I sent out, Inspire. It is coming up, and it's in Las Vegas. So it should be both an easy flight for the folks here in Northern California, but also, in Illinois, the partners over there, they should be coming. So if you're, I would suggest you at least register yourself, as well as 1 or 2 of your partners. It could be expensive if you're bringing like a whole team. There's no doubt about that. But at least 2 people, because you can get engineering, you can get sales and marketing, but most importantly, it is about the connections inside of Microsoft. You want to talk to the Dynamics folks or the Office team, or if you want to talk to our, VPs, right? Or you want to talk to the Azure specialists. That's where you go. And then the parties on the afterwards are just amazing. So I did put a link in. They are. You're like going to this party and that party, but you're meeting everybody. And that's why I think the parties are good. You go there not to party, but you go there to make sure that you talk to the right people. Super important. So we did that. We put the Partner of Tomorrow series into that email that we went out. And then if you could just let me know, and actually this would be really helpful, try to change the format of sending that out. And I had a few partners that have indicated that they've gotten 3 messages from me when I'm just trying to send them 1. If you could just go ahead and type in the window right now if you're getting 3 messages just by saying yes. This way I can see if that's actually just are you getting 3 messages?
2.
2?
I get 2.
You get 2? How about you?
Honestly, thank you for sending that out, but it was on my birthday, and I was more interested in my ties than reading your thing, going through it, so I can't.
Are you kidding me? What are you talking about? I take precedence. Just kidding. No, that's awesome. With that being said, I just want to kind of give everybody a chance to do a last thought when it comes to, what you might want to just say to aspiring, partners, or just your last thought. So, Jonathan, we'll just do a real quick one. What is your last thought?
I think the relationship with Microsoft and being a managed partner has helped us a lot. Having Sherman's actually our 4th rep through fourth rep that we've had, and I knew Sherman before he became our rep, so we already had a relationship. But it's been, each rep has brought us different things in the mix. But we've been able, leveraging your rep is really important, really helpful, and helps you grow, helps you plan, and think about the future. And those things are hard to do on your own.
Yeah.
Your Microsoft rep can really help you a lot with that piece that's hard, that's really difficult to be sure you're making the right decision going forward.
Thank you.
So
that's awesome. I think that's great insight. Bala?
I mean, I would second what Jonathan is saying here. Honestly speaking, we had actually given up on Microsoft. It's been rejuvenating to interact with you, Sherman.
Oh, thank you.
So thank you for all the support. So we are hoping for a much better relationship as we move in with the new changes that Microsoft is doing. So we are really excited.
Great, thank you. Suchint?
Yeah, I would second that, and I think the relationship with yourself has been great, and I think we're really looking forward to 18, 19. But just as kind of a 2 cents for aspiring partners and people starting out is, I think just figure out your niche focus area, and then do your best to leverage the Microsoft system, and they will need help from people like yourself and Jason. But I think focus is absolutely key, so you can help them better.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Jason, back to you.
So
in Chicago.
Yeah, it's not profound, but please do a CIE bootcamp. I just went through it with some partners, some of mine and some other partners. It could be awesome for you to really look at the solutions and how you can sell more and broaden the use base of your customer use around the licensing. It was fantastic. So please talk to us about it.
Great, thank you. All right, thank you everyone for joining today. We are landing the plane right at 10:01. Man, we missed it. We usually landed at 10. Hey, thanks so much for joining us. Look forward to seeing you next week on the panel, Strategies from the Titans of Sales and Industry. All right, have a great day. Bye-bye. Hey there, my name is Sherman Crancer, and I'm the Senior Partner Channel Development Manager here at Microsoft and the host of the panel, Strategies from the Titans of Sales and Industry. If you're interested in understanding how you can build large margins through packages, if you're interested in how to create differentiation within the marketplace, or simply you want to understand the latest cutting-edge sales and marketing techniques, make sure you join us each week on Fridays from 9 to 10 a.m. Thanks so much, and have a great day. Bye-bye.